Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of the afternoon edition. My name is Isa Nu. Today we shall be focusing on the cost of cost cutting in governance and how the present leadership is trying its best to see that yes, there is that decorum when it comes to the issue of how he manages funds in this government. So recently we have noticed that the president has taken major decisions on costs of governance and also suspended a minister, summoned a minister, and also suspended an head of an agency. And with this twist in the administration, many Nigerians are applauding the decisive decision of the president. Let me take you through an article written by Jonathan Indazaya, Ejike, and Olushola Bello on Leadership newspaper. That's from the Leadership newspaper on the cutting costs in governance. So the article says that Tinubu, in a major cost-cutting move, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a directive to slash the size of official delegations for foreign and domestic trips by up to 60%. Presidential spokesperson Juri Ngelale disclosed that was yesterday. Correspondent who was also there, that of Aso was also there to also look into this. And according to him, the new limit will affect travel by the president, the vice president, first lady, and other top officials. For foreign trips, Tinubu's delegation will now be capped at 20 people, down from 50 previously, while that of the first lady's entourage abroad is restricted to just 5 members. A more than 60% reduction. For the vice president, the foreign delegations will be limited to 5, same for his wife. For domestic trips within Nigeria, the president's delegation is now capped at 25, the first lady 10, the vice president at 15, and his wife at 10 members. In a major cost-cutting moves, the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a directive to slash the size of official delegation for foreign and domestic trips by up to about 60%. So this is a very good move for us as a country, and it is definitely going to have a major impact for us in this country. So for the beyond that, for the vice president, the foreign delegation will be limited to 5, just like the speaker, that's the chief, the spokesperson to the president said. And as a result of that, even that of the ministers and the MDAs will also be slashed. And the aim, according to Ngelale, was is to cut down on wasteful spending and reflect the prudence expected of all Nigerians, noting that the restrictions apply to all government ministers, departments, and agencies, including the president and vice president office. Ngelale further emphasized the president's insistence that government officials reflect the same fiscal prudence and efficiency as regular citizens. And the presidential spokesman said the secretary to the government of the federation, in person of George Akume, will monitor the directive for proper compliance and warn that anyone who violates the directive would face the consequences. According to him, security outfits within the state will protect the president when he travels to those states, a major cost-cutting initiative that will affect the office of the vice president as well as other persons concerned in the government. So for many Nigerians have applauded this particular move by the president. Just within few days, we've seen the suspension of a minister, we've seen the suspension of the head of an agency. We've also seen that, yes, the president is taking certain decision. For many, it is an effortless decision in the sense that unlike what we expected in the past, for past leadership to take decision easily, sometimes they find it very difficult. But with the coming of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are now seeing that, yes, these decisions are not as difficult as many see it to be. So we definitely should be expecting more from the government. For now, some of those suspended are under investigation, and Nigerians will be waiting to see the result of the investigation. And information just got to me now that even some of the ministers are under observation for proper administration in this particular government. So before I go on break, I would like to make you understand that we'll be having Mr. Uche Nnadozie, a public affairs analyst who will be joining us from Lagos to discuss this particular issue. So Let's go for this break, and when we return, we start up with the conversation.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we will realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
The official trips that will be undertaken within the country, that is when Mr. President or the Vice President travels to any state within the country, the massive bills that accrued due to allowances and ESTA code for security detail coming from Abuja going and traveling into those states will be massively cut due to the directive of the President that the security outfits within states, whether it be police, DSS, or branches of the military, will frontline his protective detail when he travels to those states, a major cost-cutting initiative. That will affect the office of the Vice President as well as the office of the First Lady. Additionally, when any international travel is being approved, the following limits have been placed on all ministers of the Federation. 4 members of their staff, appointees and the like, will be allowed to travel with a minister on an official trip. For heads of agency, that will be limited to 2 members of staff. National trips, the President has directed that no more than 20 individuals be allowed to travel with him. That number will be cut down to 5 in the case of the First Lady. 20 for the President, 5 for the First Lady. Additionally, the number in the entourage on official international trips for the Vice President will be cut to 5. The number that will be limited, the number that...
Welcome back from the break, and you've listened to Ngela Lede, that's the spokesperson to the President, and looking at things now. Just before now, we've also seen praises from former governors, from ministers, and so many well-wishers for this government have been throwing applause to the President for taking these major steps. These were steps that so many Nigerians were expecting, even in the last administration, but we didn't get to see much of that. But now we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu taking those steps. For many, they say it is in the right direction. But let us get the view of Mr. Uche Nnadozie. Mr. Uche, good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm happy to be here.
It's nice having you on the program this afternoon. What was your take? Recently, the President has taken so many decisions, and these decisions are decisions that so many Nigerians were expecting him not to take because of the way government is being run even before his tenure. So what's your take on these decisions that the president has been taking lately?
Clearly, this is one of the reasons, I guess, that the people who voted for him, because judging by how he has run public office before, especially in Lagos State, he's such a person who can take swift decisions on any issue whatsoever. And knowing how close the suspended minister is to the president, then you can begin to appreciate that he indeed took a swift decision, especially within the period that the scandal broke out. So I am in full support and appreciate that the president took this decision at this particular auspicious moment.
Okay, just before this decision, most especially that of the cutting of the cost of governance, the president took certain decisions with respect to how he's going to deal with the issue of corruption in his government. What's your reaction towards the decision of the suspension of the minister, calling the attention of the interior minister, and also suspending the head of an agency?
Oh, sorry. Okay. So now, everything taken together, the suspensions, the summoning of the Minister of Interior, and of course the cutting of official delegations to international events and all that for the president, for the vice president, and for the first lady. These are very, very worthy decisions. There's no question about that, and I think I made allusion to it in my opening remarks. But of course, there is no question about the fact that the fact that the president could take the decision within the period that the issues are at the front burner makes his decision even more compelling. That anybody who is abreast with how public service is conducted in Nigeria, especially since the democratic dispensation, will not find this. Everybody will find this commendable. So, yes, these are the sort of things that we expect. Where people have committed infractions, then we expect whoever appointed them to take the charge, to send a signal to the rest of their communities that these things is no longer business as usual. Then in terms of fighting corruption, of course, I mean, it's obvious that whoever else is doing probably the same thing as being alleged against the suspended minister or the head of the agency, we now know that if the person is found out, that the president is not going to waste time in trying to ensure that he's in fact the person in charge of the government. So it's a clear signal, just like the EFCC chairman said, that appointees of the government now know that it's not business as usual. So everybody is expected to sit up, except if the person is interested in being disgraced. Otherwise, except if you are not exposed, then that's when the president is not likely to do anything about it. But so long as you're exposed and the information is authentic and it is a corruption, then the president is going to do something about it, and it's going to help the image of the country. That when people are exposed of corruptive tendencies, then that the head of state is going to take a decisive decision in dealing with such a situation.
Decisions, definitely. So many Nigerians, former governors, ministers of the country, are applauding the president with respect to this decision that he has taken. And just like you've also rightly stated, that anybody whose case is brought to the open, definitely the president is going to take drastic steps to see that, yes, he solve the problem. In this particular issue of suspension and the rest, now come the issue of cutting the cost of governance. I don't know if you listened to the clip of the spokesperson to the president.
I didn't listen to the clip, but of course I've seen the statements he made about the cost of the court on cost of governance in relation to delegations of the presidency, as it were. I heard about the 60% cut, and at the end of the day, sometime in the evening of yesterday, we were informed that the president will be traveling with 20 persons for international engagements, and for local engagements, 25%. The vice president, 5%. The wife of the president or first lady, 5% for international engagement. So this is a clear decision pointing towards cost of reducing cost of government. In this regard, if you recall, during the COP, was it COP 21 that held in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, there was a lot of noise about the delegation that went from Nigeria, which was over 8,000, although the president's letter clarified that there were 400 and something that were official, that were part of the official delegation. So what the president is saying in effect is, next time there will be a foreign trip by him, that there is only going to be 20%. But what we don't know is if those 20% will also include the security detail. But whatever it's going to be, at least we have something to hold him to. He has said what he wants, and so we are going to look forward to when he travels, whether within Nigeria or outside the country, whether he's going to have more than 20% or even less. But so far, the decision helps to retain on the system, because we are aware, apart from the normal travel, transportation, hotel, I don't know what they call there is also travel allowance and space to everybody that travels with the president and the other public officials. So if things are cut off, of course, that means they have no in the trip. So this is very good. And I hope that not just the president, ministers, heads of agencies, legislators at the federal, state government, and the tell the people exactly what they are going to do in relation to that the president has taken in this regard.
Okay, if you're listening carefully to the tune of Nigerians and you look at the issue of the COP28 in Dubai, where they had so many persons in their entourage, about 400 thereabouts, based on what was released. Nigerians actually cried out loud as of that particular point in time. And do you think it was as a result of what happened, the president is now responding in a positive note to cut down the cost of these particular governors? And how will this impact on the economy of the president?
Well, I mean, it could have been anything. Even if it's where, that means he's a listening president. So let's even take, just like you said, it's a fallout of the last outcry about his delegation to Dubai. So if that was the case, then that means the president is a listening president, and we have to commend it for that. Then, of course, how does it affect the economy going forward? Like I said earlier, the fact that you remove 20, if you remove 20 people from over 400, you still have 380 persons. So just transportation alone for 380 persons to Dubai, for example, you know how much that will amount to. So to retain that in the country will help to pay some people's salaries in the next month. So there's no question about how that is going to help. It's not necessarily about helping the economy, but ensuring that government money is used judiciously. So bringing back confidence in people who are running the country. So, and that confidence is very important in a democracy. So, while it is not an economic policy, so to speak, but at least it helps in economic value of the country by ensuring that more money is retained in the system that would have been filtered or wasted where a few persons would have gotten the job but do not have more people. Of course, that also means that where you have more people during foreign engagement or even local engagement, there's a probability that it will be more result oriented because it will be real people who are supposed to participate in such engagements that will be present in such places. Therefore, the country will gain more in whatever it is that they went to discuss. Because, of course, the president does not travel for frivolous reasons. All those bilateral engagements, unilateral engagements are for the betterment of the country and its people, whether it is for signing agreement or for even investors. At one point, those risks and for betterment of the country. So when we use less resources, get much from abroad or even local, we are managing our resources better, choosing more confidence in the people to believe in their leaders and believe in the country itself. So when we look at it holistically, yes, positively, the image of the country, positively, the economy of the country, the dignity of the country. So I support that and look forward to more of such.
Okay, let me quickly ask you this. I know you've not landed, but then it is important that I get this across. In what ways might the streamlining of government expenses enhance the public trust and confidence in terms of leadership? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has spent just barely, not up to a year now. So, and with this decision that he's taking, do you see Nigeria giving him that benefit of doubt of the first tenure?
I know that he already has the benefit of that. That's why he was voted. But of course, the fact that he's taking decisions that the people look back and applaud creates more avenue for people to have confidence in what the president is doing. So this is what happens. So when he takes another decision, another policy decision, people are likely to believe and support that because they've seen that on his own, it has cut back on where people feel money was being wasted. For example, we are seeing happening with the effects of the removal of fuel subsidy. So when you go back to the people and say, look, because of the fact that we in government, from the presidency, we have decided to cut our quotes according to what we have, then that means we are also making sacrifices to ensure that whatever this economic policy we have put down, even though it is not very palatable to the people at this point. However, we are taking decisions that also make those of us in leadership to cut back on what would have extended in what people may call frivolities. So which means that we'll have more money left to do other things. So if they tabulate the money they would have spent in foreign trips, local trips, if it is 1 billion, and you look at the percentage of the cost, and you see that the quantum of money that will remain that will not have been used in these travels, and you say you are using this money to, let's say, institute a scholarship, or paint a university, or buy books in a library, the people can now see directly that, yes, this is what was said from government officials in the presidency, not encouraging a lot more people in their delegations during travels. And that's why I said that ministers should also, through the office of the Secretary of the Government, should also come up with their own, what they will cut off from their delegations. The same thing with lawmakers, the same thing at the state level. This will save a lot of money that will be used to do other things that will impact the lives of people directly.
Okay, before we go for break, let me quickly ask you this question, and I want you to be very, very expressive about this, and give us probably a benefit of doubt that yes, there are so much that we should expect from this government. But then, when you look at the decision the president took between last week and yesterday, how do you see this balance in reducing costs and also ensuring effective service delivery to the citizens based on what happened in Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, where the expectation, and I know the president was very hungry with respect to this, is a ministry that has to do with humanitarian affairs. So invariably it has affiliation with poverty alleviation. And but then look at what is happening, not a very good setting. So how can this reduction of cost in tandem with decision taken by the president to make sure that yes, there is this balance that we have in terms of service delivery? If money has been budgeted for poverty alleviation programs, it should get to those particular people that are supposed to benefit from it.
Yes, like the presidency said in a statement yesterday, that the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy is going to look at the whole gamut of the financial processes in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. So when he gets back with his recommendations to the president, we will now see how, because I mean, we've been having problems with that ministry, to be honest. People have not trusted that ministry at all since it was created in 2016, I guess. Oh no, since the agencies within that ministry was created in 2016. So now what is going to happen is that when the finance minister comes back with his recommendations, we'll see exactly the areas that will be affected, who are these monies going to be given, because Nigerians are still at a loss, who actually benefits from all these humongous amounts of money that the ministry is supposed to disburse. How is it affecting the people's lives? How is it helping to reduce poverty in the country? So we need to find out exactly who these monies go to and how those monies have affected their lives in a positive way. And of course, the rest of the decisions that the president has taken is to, of course, tell us that, look, it's no longer business as usual. We are cutting costs, we are streamlining government business, we are looking for the best ways to ensure that services get to the people, whether in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs or in terms of cutting costs in the presidency with regards to travels. I'm sure that there will still be more areas where money will be cut in order to have more money to service all the projects or programs that are geared towards alleviating poverty. And you know that some of those measures are not necessarily domiciled in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Practically, governance is about alleviating poverty. So I expect that by the time recommendations come out and the president we see the reforms and the decisions he has taken in the past week come into effect, then we now can begin to say exactly how those decisions have impacted on the lives of Nigerians, or how they will impact on the lives of Nigerians going forward. How much money has been saved? Where were those monies now taken in order to better the lives of Nigerians?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Uche Nnadozie. We'll be going on a very short break, and definitely when we return, we continue with the conversation. I would like you to still be there so that we can come to a very good conclusion on this particular matter. So we'll go on a break, and Mr. Uche Nnadozie is speaking from Lagos. So let's go for the break.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back from the break. And just before the break, we have been joined by Mr. Uche Ndadozie, who joined us from Lagos State, discussing the issue of cutting costs of governance is very, very critical based on the recent decisions the president has taken, and so many Nigerians are applauding this decision. So, Mr. Uche, if you're still there, I would just like you to run through this particular argument. Why do you think it is very, very important to take a thorough review of government expenditures crucial in identifying areas for cost reduction?
I think, why not? I mean, that's why we have Auditor General of the Federation to look at areas where, because I mean, if you leave human beings are human beings, we're imperfect. Therefore, if there are areas where expenditures are made, people are likely to take advantage of it. So the systems around the world, including Nigeria, have set up something called auditor. So why your audit is to find out areas that you will have saved money or you will have used money in a better way. That's also why we have the National Assembly, and that is why they has the money, which is the appropriation bill. Now, what do they do with oversight? Is to look at areas where money could be better used, even after a proposal has been submitted to them from the executive. So there is no, then on the executive side, like I've mentioned the auditor, but as a government, not just this government, the ones before, the ones to come, will always look for ways to better manage their finances, because finances, revenue is not infinite. Therefore, whatever it is that can get from the people through taxes or natural resources or even donations, better be used in a way that it will best benefit the people. I guess that's what economics is about. Therefore, everybody involved in governance at this time that money is very scarce, both for individuals and for the government, whether at the federal, state, or local government level, would always find the best ways to redefine public expenditure, the finances and revenue of the country or state, with the mindset to ensure that whatever revenue is gotten is utilized best. Where revenues are not much, you look for leakages to block, you look for wastages to stop, so that you can free up money in order to deliver social services for the people.
Okay, one other key aspect in addressing some of this issue is the issue of the use of technology in making sure that, yes, you follow the money and then you see it to the end. And if you listen to what happened yesterday and a day before yesterday, was the synergy that was put together between the ICPC, that's Independent Corrupt Practice Commission, and the EFCC, Economic Financial Crimes Commission. The EFCC, as you know, is currently dealing with some issues that arose as a result of what happened in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. How can these two major bodies help to drive in the renewed hope agenda of the president, not just in cutting the cost, not just in seeing to the end in terms of the policies and program of the government, but also identifying the possibility of corrupt practices in the country and help the president to get rid of that?
One of the best ways that, thank you very much for the question. One of the best ways, personally, I would say that EFCC is doing its work effectively is to try to prevent even corrupt acts in the first place. Because after the acts, what will follow is legal issues, and sometimes even the government will lose because of technical related legalities. Therefore, the anti-corruption agencies and other such agencies, including the police, should, without any doubt, employ whatever tactics within the law to try to prevent the acts of corruption. That will help reduce the incidences of corruption and cut costs. Because sometimes, if you are aware that a corrupt practice is about to happen and it is stopped, what that means is that because you cannot just go at the bank and carry money, it will have to be funneled through a project which is supposed to benefit the people. So if using technology, tracking of government expenditure, contracts, projects, these acts could be curtailed. It will go a long way in helping the people at the end of the day, because the act itself will not have been taking place. So there will not be fees paid to lawyers, and the money will not just be dumped in the bank, waiting for the conclusion of trial before you even know. That is if you win. If the government wins, before you even know that it could be used, the money could be used. And you know, they say justice delayed is like justice denied. So for me, what you have asked will actually help us as a country, as a people, seeing how we are born in fighting corruption after EFCC was set up over 20 years ago. So it would be good that those agencies also put a lot of effort, including NFIU, in tracking projects that have been approved, in tracking contracts that have been approved, using all sorts of technology. I mean, in the finance sector, it's easy to know where money originated and where the money is going. You can easily deduce that this money is not being used to do a project. For example, a project is supposed to last a year, and the whole money has been released and used within a week. You don't need anybody to tell you that something has happened. For example, you are building a two-story building. You know, you cannot finish a two-story building in a week. It's not, at least it's not possible in Nigeria for now. Therefore, if you now see that a two-story building that government wants to build has been completed within a week, money paid, something is wrong. Let's go and check whether the building was actually built or they repented another one. So these are some of the areas I believe that, in fact, that it will help the country in reducing and now having more money in order to do real projects that will benefit the people. If we can curtail, follow projects, contracts, and ensure using technology and ensure that they either executed or will prevent monies voted from being diverted into something else. And I am sure that EFCC, even if they don't have the best of the equipment, they have something substantial. They can always get and deploy their men to see that we do not just continue to announce budgets at the end of the day. We don't see exactly what to do. Remember, during the Senate hearing, I think it was this week, Senator Oshiomhole was talking about a particular route that has almost failed around Edo State or so, and saying that was it 200 million was voted. That it was obvious that if indeed that is the money voted for that road, that somebody wants to eat the money because there is nothing 200 million was going to achieve. So such things, and this is just him, not even using technology. So what I'm saying is that the agencies charged with fighting corruption should look for the best ways to prevent. Let prevention be at least 60% of their job than just looking for prosecution simply because prosecution also provides another opportunity.
Okay, in the course of your discussion, you raised one critical aspect, which many government, when they come in, they try as much as possible to fizzle it out in terms of, when I say fizzle it out in this term now, what I mean is to say that, yes, issues within that particular ministry are well taken care of, and that's the Ministry of Justice, and the Office of the Attorney General is very, very key in handling some of these issues. You know, government having issues with persons, with agencies, and the rest of it like that. But how do you see the justice system helping the anti-corruption body in making sure that, yes, as the president is driving home his policies and program, anybody found wanting will get the best from our judiciary?
There is no question about the relevance of the justice system in fighting corruption and ensuring the rule of law. Even though the ministers are still relatively new, but I have expected more from the current Minister of Justice and Attorney General. I'm not sure he has enunciated what his agenda will be. If he has, maybe I missed it. Critical to whatever his agenda is of course fighting corruption, because I think he supervises the EFCC, and that is because whatever EFCC does have directly with the rule of law. Therefore, there is no doubt about the fact that even the justice system itself requires substantial reforms to speed it up and to ensure that it is fair, that the process is fair to all. And being fair is not just to the individual, it's also to the community, to the Nigerian people, that when people are accused, since you are talking about corruption, of being corrupt, that whatever verdict is gotten should be fair to the people. Not that people are accused of mismanaging 20 billion naira, for example, and at the end of the day, for technical reasons, the person is free with the money and everything, and everybody goes home. There's no way you can build confidence in the Nigerian project like that. It can't work. So the justice system needs serious reform, for mind reform, process reform, so that people will see that that system is fair to us, the people of Nigeria, that when a verdict is given, people can say, yes, that is what is expected. Yes, I do not say that if processes were not properly, litigations were not properly filed, then that the judges should come and pamper EFCC or ICPC or police. I'm just saying that whatever.
Sorry, we are almost running out of time now. We just have 2 minutes to conclude on program. So I just want to quickly chip this in. In what ways could a leaner government structure, because in this time now that we are reducing cost, in what way could a leaner government structure positively impact the country's fiscal health and budgetary allocation? Just in 1 minute, 30 seconds, please.
Two good heads are better than 20 ordinary heads. There's no question about that now. It makes for easier coordination. I know that, yes, we have more than 50 ministers. Maybe that was to satisfy the school exigencies. But as the weeks and months and years gone by, I believe that some of those ministers will be shown the way. And when they are, I'm not sure they are going to be replaced. So the leaner, the better, because it will be easier to manage. No doubt about that. But I'm also not oblivious of the fact that This is politics. This is a democracy. It's a process that encourages popularity and numbers. So those things are coming. But there are other areas apart from ministers that we can still reduce number of people in government or civil service or whatever, or push them in areas that they can function better. So those ones are what the civil service reform people can come up with as the weeks and months come by.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Uche Nnadozie, for joining us today on the program, the afternoon edition, to discuss more on the cost of cutting costs in government. And definitely, Nigerians are listening, and Nigerians are also watching the direction of the president. And I hope many ministries, departments, and agencies will take a cue from this in order for us to have a better nation where government is in the grassroots. So thank you so much, Mr. Uche Nnadozie. This is how far we can go today on the afternoon edition. My name is Issa Nu. We just concluded the discussion with Uche Nnadozie, who is a public affairs analyst, discussing the cost of running government and how important it is for us to reduce the cost. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.